All right, welcome back, sailors. Thank you to Mrs. McCaskey for taking us on the journey with America's wolves and then how the wolf, this wild beast, became the dog. Today, as a team, we're going to look at how the dog became part of the family. And Americans, we tend to be pretty pet obsessed people, spending, I think as a people, we spend billions of dollars, our country, on our dogs, on our cats, on Halloween costumes, crazy stuff, spoiling and pampering our pooches and our loved ones. And so today we're going to just consider the role of pets in our lives. So we're going to kick it off with an anticipation guide, and then we're going to read how the dog became part of the family. And we'll continue on with sketch notes. So that's what you'll need. You'll need your Chromebook to be able to view the article, and then your hard copy of our sketch notes. Students, if you're virtual, you'll just continue with a digital copy of the sketch notes. And then at the close of our hour, you'll turn them into your crew teacher to get them back to us. So, thinking about dogs and wolves becoming a dog. Also, on Monday, we're going to look at how dogs are now turning into like robo pets and transitioning into that and artificial intelligence, and if that's a cool thing or not. So, like in Japan, it's a really big deal. And if your robo pet, kicks it and dies and runs out of juice, they actually have funerals and love it like it's a real pet. So, just looking from that journey all the way from a wolf to a dog to a family member, and then now looking into like robo dogs, and that's kind of cool. So today, our anticipation guide, I'm going to post it here, and just feel free, teachers, to pause, and so your crew can discuss each little item. Throw your hand in the air if you think your pet is the best. All right. Throw your hand in the air if you would risk your life to save your pet. You would risk your life. You would risk bodily harm and personal injury to save your dog. All right, how about number 3? Do you feel you spoil your pet in your household? Does your pet get to do pretty much whatever it wants, runs the house? Right. Number 4, do pets add to family happiness? So I might pause here and you guys can just have a little chat. How does your pet add to your household happiness? All right. And continuing with a Podmate chat about this. Pets are great because, so answer that question. I'll pause. And through our journey, we've talked a lot about working dogs, specifically like sled dogs like Balto, bringing the vaccine to the remote parts of Alaska, to Nome, to save them. In Greenland, they still use sled dog teams. They find them to be more reliable than snowmobiles. And also that companionship factor when they live in a remote part of the world. They don't run out of gas. They're lower cost to keep than snowmobiles and the maintenance. And so it's really cool. We have National Geographic clip about dogs being better than snowmobiles. They also are powerful. We learned about service dogs and search and rescue dogs and military dogs and police dogs. So overall, we know a lot about the purpose they serve in our homes and in our communities. But people are crazy, and pet obsessed, and really willing to do anything. People that have parrots, since they live so long, I think they can live to be 70 years old. They actually have to put their parrots in their will, so we know what's going to happen to that bird and somebody will be able to care for it. My cousin who lives in Chicago, she and her husband, they don't have children, but they're professionals living in downtown Chicago in a very nice condo. They've adopted a dog, or they bought him, Bernedoodle, named Bruce. He's got a big Instagram following, and they spend over $1,000 a month on doggy daycare for Bruce so he can be socialized. He also has different types of dog beds, a cooling mat for summer, a warm heating pad for winter. We live in a pretty dog obsessed neighborhood. Our neighbor had a dog, and poor little thing, she suffered a stroke, but instead of putting the little thing down, she got appointments and got neurological care for her dog, even though this little thing became paralyzed and it lost control of its hind legs. And so she got a doggy stroller, and she would walk it 3 to 4 times a day around the neighborhood. The dog also could not control its bowels, and so she diapered it. She had her dog all wrapped up in a diaper with a little hole for its tail and then a little baby onesie. And so she was that extreme in caring for the pet. And eventually she did sort of was able to hobble around and walk a little bit, gaining some more control over her hind legs. My other cousin, she dresses her pets up every year for a visit with Santa, and so it's a big deal. People are willing to go to huge lengths. Pandemic pets have been huge during Corona. Just a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, and pets really we're a way to bring that joy. Plus, people are staying home, so they have more time and attention to give to pets. So here's a little clip about America spending big dollars on our furry friends.
Good boy. More Americans welcomed furry additions to their families this year.
She's a 10-month-old Aussie Doodle, and we got her at the beginning of the pandemic.
Many of those new pet parents are planning to give them a very merry first Christmas.
Santa's going to bring her a lot of fun treats.
According to Deloitte's annual holiday shopping survey, about half of respondents say they plan to buy a pet gift.
We found that the average spend for the pet category was going to be about $90 in total.
But this dog dad spent even more.
I got my dog a $300 off-white collar.
All for his Instagram famous pup, Lily.
She's a diva and she knows she's a diva.
At Pet Project LA, shoppers have been buying up high-end accessories.
Here's our elf costume, little hat.
Owner Rachel Long says she's seen a huge boost in sales leading up to the holidays.
Like an 80% increase from a regular business day.
Reginald Drummer is here shopping for his Chihuahua, Sophia.
Always buying her stuff every week. I think I'm buying her too much, but I don't care. I just want to spoil her. It just makes me happy.
A pandemic puppy that he says helped him through trying times.
Unconditional love from her made me even treat people around me better.
That's so good.
Now pet parents are returning the favor to the furry companions who've helped us through a chaotic year. Liz McLaughlin, NBC News.
I really like how he said that the unconditional love from his pet makes him want to spread that love and joy to other people and care for them in a cooler, stronger way. So chat about it. Do you buy pets, Christmas gifts and birthday gifts for your pets among your crew? And then who dresses their pet up in Halloween costumes? Just have a little quick crew chat. I will pause and we'll get into our article. Well, we sure did. We had a little cat stocking for Fiona, and she loved that thing on Christmas morning. She was dragging it around the living room and going inside it and pulling out each little thing and really batting around each little wand toy and little mouse. So it's fun. It's fun to give them, spend money on them, and ultimately it brings us joy back. And so today in Google Classroom, you're just going to go to the amazing history of dogs, okay? And when that loads, looks like this. I like to put it in presentation view because it's just a nicer, more user-friendly format to view our article. And yesterday you read how the wolf became the dog. And today, scroll over to how the dog became part of the family. And then also make sure you have your sketch notes in front of you. We're going to go down, we're going to flip it over onto the next page. If you're virtual, you're just going to scroll down here, how the dog became part of the family. So those two materials are needed, and I will pause to make sure you're set to go. Okay, so sketch notes. Sketch notes are kind of a great way to hold our thinking, and good readers make pictures in their minds as they read, they visualize. And so as we read, I want you to think about and get a picture in your head, dogs doing two different types of jobs in history. What are some different ways it helped us? And I know this piggybacks on previous articles that we've read. We know that dogs have been with us working since ancient times, going into battle with the Romans, even part of Mesopotamia. Then we're going to look at three factors that help dogs transform from workers. So they're always primarily just like a tool, a thing that we use to help make our life better, to now just these little cuddles, these bundles of joy. They're just pets. They're part of the family. We don't need them to work. We don't need them to serve us. Now they're just there to give and receive love. So what are those factors that helped us kind of take them in out of the barns, off the farms, off the police force, and out of the firehouses and into our homes, at the table, in our beds, in our laps, on the couch? Where do we have that? And you're, hanging out next to you with your little gaming system. What allowed that to happen in American society? And lastly, what are two big benefits to having dogs as pets in our lives? I mean, yeah, they leave steaming piles around the yard, maybe even our house, and they're loud and they're yappy and they're expensive. So what is the good? What does it bring to our life? Okay, so I'm going to get you started. We're going to read the first part of this together, and then I'm going to turn some text over to you. I like Scope articles because they start with an anecdote. And you are going to be writing a little pet anecdote coming up soon. An anecdote is a real lifelike story. And it's short, it's amusing, and it just sort of paints a quick picture of life. So here we go, how the dog became part of the family. Let's look at some text features first. Our subtitle here, dogs are once shepherders and rat chasers, but now they're just pets we love and spoil. 90 million are about the number of pet dogs in the United States, but then let's talk about money. The average family or household will spend $135 a month on their dog. And cats too. Litter, toys, feed, all of that. 350 million are spent on Halloween costumes for their dogs. Do you dress your pet up? Okay, I know people that do, who paint their pets' toenails, who've got pimped out collars, all the cool stuff for their dogs, and it brings them a lot of joy and happiness. So here we go. The article opens with a little lifelike anecdote. You're going to meet Scout. Scout, a little brown dog, seems to be going crazy. He bounces up and down like a furry ball, yapping and panting, and then yapping some more. His tiny pink tongue flaps from his mouth as he licks everyone in sight. Oh, he's just excited, sighs 12-year-old Ruby. He's always excited. Since Scout's arrival in Ruby's home 2 years ago, the dog has been an endless source of slobbery licks, ear-splitting yaps, smelly indoor puddles, and brown stains on the rug. Nobody in Ruby's family ever imagined that they would own such a spoiled, badly behaved little beast. Nor did they imagine that they could love an animal as much as they love Scout. Oh, he's so annoying, Ruby moans. But then she snatches up the little dog and kisses his wet nose. But he's so cute. Ruby is far from alone in feeling over-the-moon affection for a dog. According to a 2015 survey by the Harris Poll, 96% of owners consider their dogs to be members of the family. So how did dogs become so beloved? And I think it's true about cats too. Like, we took our kids to Disney and they could hardly enjoy it because they were so homesick for both our cats, and they talked about them constantly. It was ridiculous. And so people are this over-the-moon, crazy, unconditional love and affection. How did we get there? So here goes your first question. What roles did they traditionally serve? And then we're going to move from how they were workers to how they are just merely love in our life, not needing to serve us or work for us anymore. Workers to pets, dogs have been at our sides for tens of thousands of years. Until recently, however, unless you were very wealthy, the only reason to keep a dog around was for the work. Okay, so scroll over to the next page. For the work it could do. Dogs chased away foxes from chicken coops. They cleared restaurant kitchens of rats. Dogs hunted for ducks and pulled sleds over snowy hills. In cities, firehouse dogs ran ahead of horse-drawn fire wagons, barking to alert people to get out of the way. These hardworking dogs were too dirty and smelly to be allowed indoors. Dogs that became sick or injured either healed on their own or died. Tough luck. Most veterinarians provided care only for more vital and expensive animals, like horses and cows. But in the late 1800s, all that started to change. So I'm going to pause there. And let's go to our first question. What roles? I want you to sketch dogs doing two different jobs in history. And if you're not sure, go ahead and look back to the article. What did it say? What are some of the things that dogs did? You can look at the top of the column. So go ahead and do a little sketch, and then we'll continue on to question 2. Teachers, you may pause. All right, so virtual kids, you're just going to go ahead and insert some images. I had firehouse dogs, because I always wonder, how did dogs end up being, the Dalmatian? Why were they part of the firehouse? Why? I don't understand it. Well, they would run in front, because the fire truck was originally a horse-drawn carriage, and they have to run to alert people to get out of the way, right? This is before we have sirens. The dog was that alert, that siren. And then, obviously, protecting chicken coops and chasing away foxes and predators from farmland. I don't have on here about the sled dogs, which is a cool, neat thing, too. Or dogs, to provide help and aid for hunters, right? Duck hunters. So there you go. Dogs doing cool jobs in history. Scroll down. Now we're looking for, so that's the work they did. What factors helped transform them from workers now to our pets? So we'll continue on in our article. And we are right here, but in the late 1800s. So right across. But in the late 1800s, all that started to change. America was becoming wealthier. People could afford to feed and care for a pet. Powerful new soaps could be used to scrub dogs clean and kill fleas. Companies started selling dog food, which made feeding a dog more convenient. veterinarians opened offices just for treating dogs and other pets. In the 1950s, TV shows like Lassie and The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin cast dogs in starring roles, helping to make them even more popular as American pets. All right, so we'll stop at a special bond, but you can see some really cool things that started to happen in the late 1800s. So really just in the last 120 some years, they've really been pets and in our homes. What allowed them to come out of the barns and into the homes? So we've got things with soaps. Okay, so read this section here, veterinarians, and I want you to go ahead and put in 2 different pictures that show that, or 3 for this one. 3 factors that help dogs transform from workers to pets. I will pause. Go ahead and sketch. Okay, so in mine, we have dog food. So we've got, it's cheaper, it's convenient, you can just buy food, and now we've got readily available way to feed our pets. We've got soaps and things. Before, you didn't want them in your house because your whole family would have fleas or whatever kind of other parasites or icky things they would bring into the home. So now we have a way to clean our pets. Plus, they have more disposable income and money to spend on their pets. And so I just put this is a home in the late 1800s, what it might look like, and people being able to have that extra money to spend on dogs. You might also have veterinary clinics. We're now opening to treat small animals, not just large like horses or working animals or cows, but small animals and pets. And coming up soon, we're going to be reading famous author Dr. James Herriot. He was a veterinarian for his entire life in Britain and ended up writing stories about all of the amazing experiences he had serving people in the Dales of Yorkshire and northern England and his experiences with animals. And so your last task today is you're going to look for 2 benefits of having dogs as pets in our lives. And so I turn text over to you. You will start at a special bond, and you're going to read these last 2 columns. And it's really cool. It talks about that a chemical is actually released in our bodies when we are staring at our dogs or looking into their eyes. I have to say that I think the same thing happens with cats too. And it's a bonding chemical, and it makes us feel close. It makes us feel happy. It makes us feel at ease. So pets are a cool and therapeutic and life-enhancing force in our worlds. So enjoy the last 2 columns, and then go ahead and do your last 2 sketch notes on your sheet, and then go ahead and turn these into your crew teachers. When we meet again, we're going to learn about RoboPets. So now we're going to take the dog and we're going to transform it, give it some artificial intelligence, and turn it into a robotic creature. And is this a cool thing? Is this a good thing? Or do we still like good old flesh and fur, paws and claws, actual furry animals? All right, thanks for your work this week. Wish you a great weekend. Turn in your sheets to your crew teacher when you're done.